So I have a list here of interesting findings that I found within Verum Rex. I want to tell you guys straight up off the bat that some of these are optical illusions and some of these are allusions. The difference between an illusion and an allusion with an A in front of it instead of an I is that an allusion is meant to have you as the viewer call into your mind something else by viewing something that's very similar. It's kind of like the deja vu effect, in which deja vu, you have something happen and you have deja vu. For some reason, as psychology and science explains it, deja vu is more than likely you having an experience that's very close to another that your brain kind of think of the two as one and the same. It's the same thing with an allusion. And then we have optical illusions here, to where certain things you can only see if you move and maneuver to be able to observe them within the right context, within the right way for the message to get across, for the allusion to appear. So obviously, these things start off with the loser sign within Verum Rex, or within Quadratum. The loser sign is important because, as I've always held out this belief that the good ending and the bad ending against Yozora are both viable aspects for the future. In fact, the novelization of Kingdom Hearts 3 even makes this more abundantly clear, as the novelization may not be canon technically, but we all have to accept the fact that the writers and the people who made the novelization for Kingdom Hearts 3 have a lot more information than we do. They have a lot more information than we do because obviously Tetsuya Nomura is the kind of director and kind of the writer type to have his hand in everything that's going to come out about Kingdom Hearts. This is how non-canon things for the Kingdom Hearts series actually do wind up having some type of canon effect, such as, things like little game mechanics and stuff like that that they just think about actually do have some realized effect, such as, again, flow motion. Flow motion wasn't even going to be flow motion at first. It was just going to be an aspect, a part of them being in a dream world, of Sora and Riku being in a dream world. But it became something real. It became flow motion, and now all of a sudden, every character apparently has the abilities of flow motion. And flow motion also seems to be a light version of things that we've seen, such as how Roxas and Xion specifically maneuver to where they transform into forms of light. As we now see, the rest of the characters are now capable of moving in this exact same way. Mechanics have become partially canon and real abilities that the characters have. So let's go ahead and move on. The next one we have here is the Union building. So this is an optical illusion more so than an allusion. In fact, it's actually kind of both, because when you see the building itself, you see that it has that weird language that's all over Quadratum, but then on its side it has the word Union. And the first thing that any player that's perspective enough would think is to try and maneuver to see if you can find a chi. Now, even if it did say Union Chi, it would probably be just a call out, but I think that it has something to do with Yozora being brain, bro. But either way, if you maneuver around the battlefield, you can never have the side of the building that has Union on it fully exposed to you to see whether or not the chi is actually there. It's an allusion and an optical illusion. You're meant to see this and have a callback to Union Chi. Maybe this is indeed an indication that Yozora is brain. And let me be clear, even if we got out of bounds and went up to the building and it didn't have the X on it, that more than likely comes from them also thinking, okay, well, we're going to be putting it on PC. More than likely, motherfuckers are going to get out of bounds. We're going to be putting this on PlayStation 4 and, people already break every freaking game to get around. We don't want to expose Union Chi, but we will have an allusion here to where someone can see this from the battlefield, and the first thing their minds jump to when they see Union on a building that the face of the building has that weird language in Quadratum, and on this side that's very visible from the battlefield, it says Union. So this is an optical illusion, and an allusion is meant to have the player call to mind Union Chi. Next is a screen that actually seems to house an allusion, again, of the Master of Masters. There's a guy who seems to be hooded, and actually, if you look at it, the screen is too blurry to truly tell. But when you look at it, you can see what appears to be indications that this is the black coat from the organization figures. Now, if this isn't the black coat, that's 100% fine, because again, it's an allusion. You're meant to see it and have a calling to the Master of Masters. But what's interesting is that you do get to see a bit of this guy's face, and it does kind of look very similar to the little bit of the face of the Master of Masters that we got to see within the secret episode. Now, we did only get to see basically his chin, but it does still call to mind that moment where you do see that little bit of his face, because that indicated to us back then that the Master of Masters is actually a human character. We're not dealing with some type of demon, we're not dealing with some type of figure that we haven't even seen yet, some type of new entity to our knowledge. He just looks the same as us. He's a human. So since this guy looks kind of in that same way, you kind of have the call to the Master of Masters in that moment where we got to see the little bit of his face, as this guy's face is also hidden, but you do see that exact same part of his face that we saw the Master of Masters. Another thing too about this sign is that if you look at it closely, there's a word it's like a huge word, and from my understanding it spells alone. And I think this is indicative of the fact that this is supposed to be a film that's playing within the city of Quadratum. But if you maneuver around the arena enough, eventually the last letter, the E, will fade away, and so will the A. They will kind of lose their prominence in your view, in which now all that's left is the L, and then what also appears to be an I, the O, and then an N. The lion, the Master of Masters, the lion of the foretellers. The foretellers and their different animals that represent the 7 deadly sins, the Master of Masters would more than likely be the lion. So let's go ahead and move on. Next is we have the diamond. And just to be clear, I do know that this isn't a real diamond. Somebody pointed this out, but I was already aware of the fact that it isn't a real diamond. The point of me saying diamond is the shape. The shape is in the shape of a diamond. And if you remember, we had a video to where I showed you guys a hearts and arrows diamond, in which the design within the diamond itself looks like a hearts and arrows. So with this carrying that exact same design, it calls to mind, of all things, the black box, which has a diamond on it, and it has the Chi super words within the red diamond. And why does it call to the black box? Because when the red diamond first appears, the screen fades to black. And when it fades to black, all that's on it for a brief second is the red diamond. So the red diamond that's kind of in the center of it calls to the black box that has a red diamond that spells Chi Super in it. So this is an indication of the black box. It's a diamond that's also calling to the black box. And even though these are technically umbrellas, there's a building that's not really named this, but it's called the Diamond Arena. So there's two indications. On one end, or in one direction, you see a sign that looks like it has a diamond, a red diamond, and this red diamond is supposed to give you an illusion, an optical illusion of the black box, as this red diamond is first shown on a completely black screen for a very brief second. Then when you turn around in this exact same battlefield, there's a building behind you that says Diamond Arena. So this is indeed a call to the black box, which has a diamond on it, and this diamond actually calls to the Chi Super, and it also calls to the design of the heart that we see that shows that the foretellers is either pieces of the Master of Masters or Lushu himself. So let's go ahead and once again move on. Next, before the last one, we have the Hikari building. The building that the anniversary is going to be taking place on. This is interesting because not only is this the building where the Master of Masters appears, so maybe this is an indication that the Master of Masters is actually at that building during this boss battle, which is something a lot of people really take into consideration, and I can honestly believe it. I believe that this is more than likely going on. The Master of Masters is literally watching this fight occur. But at the same time, too, it's calling to the fact that the anniversary is going to be held here. So perhaps the anniversary was all the way in the plans even back then in 2020. So that's very interesting. So the final one is my favorite one, and I do mean my favorite one. There's a blurry sign that's an allusion that's supposed to call to Skuld. There's a sign that's closer to the street to where when you look at it, it's a girl who looks to be about the age of Skuld. She has long black hair, and then she's wearing what appears to be some sort of black vest. It appears to be. So if you get close to it and this isn't the case, it appears to be from where you're standing. This is the importance of putting us far away from all of these signs. Even if you zoom in with the shot lock mechanic, the sign will just get more blurry. You won't even be able to truly observe anything of it. So this is on purpose, guys. This is 100% on purpose, as this is a video game. Real life stuff like the screen getting blurry if you try to zoom in on it wouldn't be real. This is something that's been put into the game to where if you try to zoom in on these signs like this, they get more blurry. They become a lot less detailed, keeping you from being able to observe them. But anyways, this one is supposed to call to Skuld. There's a girl that appears to be wearing a black vest with long black hair, and then she has a white top. A white top. So she's wearing a white shirt under the vest, and then she has long black hair. It's a calling to Skuld, the character that we know to be the Chi in the Secret Reports that was saved by Xigbar. So there you go. There's a few signs that I found within Scarlet Asylum. Maybe you guys have seen some personally that I didn't even catch. Maybe there's some that, of course, people done been out of bounds, and there's videos of going out of bounds within Scarlet Asylum, and there's a lot more observation. Of course, once again, I am 100% aware that the diamond on that screen is supposed to be technically an umbrella. But why then is there a fake name on a building that is directly adjacent to this screen that says Diamond Arena? Because you are supposed to think of a diamond when you see it. You're supposed to think of a diamond when you see it. So thank you guys for tuning into this video. Let me know if you found anything within Scarlet Asylum that I didn't name here. And this is just a video to kind of give you guys a interesting look into Scarlet Asylum. And then eventually, I more than likely will do an in-depth look at Yozora's moveset eventually. Because playing through it again, and having the idea in mind that the Master of Masters is supposed to fight Yozora, who can steal the legendary weapon from him, there's even more to his moveset than what I initially thought. There's a lot more to his moveset. One thing in particular that I can tell you guys is when you actually get to the end of his desperation move, that orb that changes gravity and tries to pull everything in on itself, the singularity that he creates, technically, the singularity that he creates is interesting because, well, you can literally see gravity begin to shift as it tries to pull in Sora. And what I mean by you can see gravity start to shift is that you can literally see what is apparently supposed to be versions of Sora actually fall into it. So this is a strong move that changes gravity for some reason. And even think about it. He creates this virtual reality, this kind of reality warp of the space around you. He turns it into the night sky, into the blank void of space, And whenever this move comes out, his final move for his DM, where he's going to cut you, his final move for his DM literally shatters this false reality like glass. That comes from the pressure, the strength of the gravity orb that's supposed to be pulling in Sora. What makes him lucky is that with the power of the Keyblade, of course, gravity isn't supposed to be binding, but it even oversteps the bounds of the Keyblade to try and pull Sora in. So just think about the Master of Masters. This seems to be something that's supposed to be for someone that's beyond the means of what the hell they perceived Sora to be. Like, how strong they perceive Sora to be, this is obviously supposed to be for someone that's even worse than what they projected Sora would be like, bro. Cause this shit is so damn strong that literal fake versions of Sora still fall into it. It's like a distortion of gravity. That's fucking insane, bro. Like, there's no way this dude, there's no way, out of everything that we've talked about Yozora, there's no way someone can say that he is not meant to fight the Master of Masters, bro. There's no way. Like, this dude, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you guys for tuning into this video, and peace the heck